All right, let's dive right in. We're about to explore a philosophical idea so radical, it asks us to pretty much throw out our most basic assumptions about how the world works. We're going to get into an ontology, that's a theory of being, that is, well, completely groundless.
So to get us started, here's a simple but really profound question that gets right to the heart of it all. Is reality a collection of static, stable things, or is it a dynamic, ongoing action? This single question, it's the key to unlocking everything we're talking about today.
You know, we humans, we love to make sense of the world. And our go-to method is to create a model, right? A map of reality that we can stand back from and study. But what if that very act, creating a separate map, is exactly where we go wrong? What if it creates a fundamental problem right from the start?
This slide just lays it out so clearly. On the left, that's our standard approach. We've got reality, and then we create a separate model of reality. Simple enough, but the radical alternative on the right suggests there's just one thing, one circle, the process itself. There's no separation at all.
And this act of separating things, it actually has a name, metaphysical duplication. It's kind of like making a photocopy of a living, breathing thing. We take the dynamic process of reality and we create this second, static layer, our model, to try and explain it. But what if that second layer isn't just unnecessary? What if it's a complete illusion?
Okay, so if that old model is broken, what's the alternative? This is where we bring in a concept called radically immanent ontology of process, or let's just call it RIOP for short. Its solution is brutally simple. Just get rid of that second layer completely.
Let's break that name down because it's a mouthful. Ontology is the study of being. Immanent means everything is contained within. So RIOP is basically saying reality is this self-running process of becoming that doesn't need any external foundation. It doesn't need a creator, it doesn't need a blueprint, it's just an endless self-sustaining flow.
And this quote just brilliantly captures that shift in thinking. In this view, we stop trying to represent the world from the outside. Instead, we have to recognize that the world is its own description. It's constantly defining itself, unfolding through its own actions, its own enactment.
Now, this all sounds pretty mind-bending, but it brings up an immediate, very practical question. I mean, if everything is just one big, continuous process, then what about the chair I'm sitting on? What about all the solid things that make up our world? Where do they come from?
Well, Riope explains this with two really elegant principles. First, there's flow. This is the constant emergence of change and difference. It's the engine of reality. But then second, there's stabilization. This is how, within that chaotic flow, coherent patterns can actually form and hold themselves together, at least for a while.
And honestly, the best analogy for this is a whirlpool in a river. Think about it. The water in the river is always flowing, always changing, but the whirlpool itself maintains a stable shape, a stable pattern. An object, in this view, is exactly that, a stabilized process figure. It's a pattern, not a static thing.
So, if you accept this core idea, that reality is fundamentally a process, then get ready because the consequences are huge. It forces us to redefine nearly every fundamental concept we use to make sense of the world.
I mean, this new perspective just changes everything. Being is no longer a static state. It's the constant action of becoming. Objects, like we just said, are just those temporary stable patterns. And even our most fundamental ideas get a total overhaul. Time becomes the internal effect of irreversible change, and space becomes the way all those patterns relate to each other. But the redefinition of possibility might be the most radical of all. We tend to think of possibilities as, a pre-existing menu of choices that are just waiting for us. RIOP says, no way. The process itself generates its own new possibilities as it unfolds. Think about what that means. The future isn't a set of paths to choose from. It's something the universe is actively inventing, moment to moment.
Now, this has some pretty profound implications for how we can even know anything. If everything, and I mean everything, is part of this single, all-encompassing process, what does that mean for us, the observers? Can we ever truly step outside of it to get a clear, objective look?
And the short answer is no. There is no outside. This means there's no objective God's eye view of everything. We can never get a truly complete description of reality, because the very act of trying to describe it is just another event happening inside that same reality. We are always, inescapably, part of the flow we're trying to understand.
To put this into a little bit of context, this idea builds on the work of philosophers like Alfred North Whitehead. He also saw reality as a process, but RIOP takes it a really decisive step further.
You see, where Whitehead still allowed for an external framework of possibilities, RIOP gets rid of that very last outside structure. In this view, it's just the process, all the way down, nothing else.
So, what does this all mean for us? After trying to wrap our heads around this groundless reality, what's the big takeaway? Well, it's about changing not just what we think, but how we think.
And this point is absolutely crucial. RIOP isn't just another model to replace the old one. It's much better understood as a mode of thinking. It's an invitation to stop seeing ourselves as separate observers looking in from the outside, and to start thinking as active participants in co-enactment with reality itself.
So let's just recap the core principles. A completely groundless reality means there's no ultimate origin or beginning, there's no fundamental substance it's all made of, there's no pre-existing menu of possibilities, no fixed actors pulling the strings from behind the curtain, and absolutely no outside. There is only the ongoing flow. And that leaves us with one final, pretty provocative question to think about. If the world truly has no solid ground beneath it, no foundation to hold on to, what does it truly mean for you and for me to be a part of its endless, creative, and completely ungrounded flow?